All right, get ready because we're diving deep into the world of YouTube pranks with this one. And whew, this video is something else.
Yeah, this one really,
It features Kristen and Reef. They're a popular couple known for their prank videos. But
Right.
let's just say things get intense.
It get pretty heated.
We're going to try to break down what's going on here, especially with how jealousy plays a role. And we're going to explore why some viewers are calling this prank out as just straight up problematic.
Yeah, and you know what's so fascinating about this video is right out of the gate, Reef is acknowledging the risk.
He does.
Right. He even calls it a banger of a prank. And even jokes that he's risking his life for this.
Right.
So that immediately sets a tone of high stakes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder what their dynamic is like when the cameras are off, if a prank could even be perceived as life-risking.
Right.
And then there's the fact that he chooses to record this instead of streaming it live.
Yeah.
He even says it's because Kristen's Twitch followers might warn her. Oh, that's interesting.
It's almost like he's setting her up for this surprise attack, which adds this whole other layer of like, is this manipulation?
I mean, it's definitely a deliberate choice, right?
Yeah.
That reveals a lot about his awareness of just how bad this prank could backfire. And I think it even suggests an imbalance of power in their relationship, just from that choice alone.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one holding all the cards, calling all the shots.
Totally controlling the narrative.
Okay, so the prank is he's going to pretend to flirt with another girl while Kristen is in the shower.
Okay.
He's playing Call of Duty and just casually starts this conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
But it's clear to us watching, he's laying the groundwork. You know, he keeps dropping hints about girls in the game and steering the conversation towards topics he knows will push Kristen's buttons.
Yeah. It's not just like random flirting, right?
Right.
It feels very strategically crafted to elicit a very specific reaction from Kristen. It's like a social experiment.
Almost, you know, like testing the boundaries of their relationship.
And all for what?
For content.
Yeah.
It really makes you think.
And then, bam! Kristen walks in.
Uh-oh.
You can practically cut the tension with a knife.
Yeah.
You flag this moment in your notes, and I have to agree, the energy just completely shifts the second she steps into the room.
I mean, Kristen immediately picks up on something being off.
Yeah.
It's like she can just sense it.
Yeah.
Reef tries to play it cool,
He does. He tries so hard.
but he's totally overcompensating,
Oh, yeah.
which just makes him look guiltier
Right, his cool guy act totally falls apart.
completely.
He starts throwing out these, like, over-the-top compliments, like, you be moving hella sexy with that, and you gotta shoot it how I like it. I mean, it is so cringy.
Oh, so bad.
And obviously fake, but it's also just so manipulative.
Right. And it's interesting, like, what's going on in his head? Why does he choose this very specific language? Is he subconsciously trying to assert dominance or make Kristen feel insecure?
It really makes you wonder.
A
Yeah.
lot to unpack there.
And then comes the infamous Chelsea moment.
Oh, yeah.
He just casually drops this name into the conversation, and Kristen instantly picks up on it.
Right. Like, who's Chelsea?
Right.
Now, that's where the dramatic irony comes in, right? Because we know, as viewers, that there is no Chelsea.
Right. It's all a joke.
It's all a big prank, but for Kristen, in that moment, it's a total gut punch.
Totally. And he just keeps denying it.
Oh, he does.
Even when her voice is cracking with emotion, he's just like, Chelsea's just a map in the game.
Right.
But you can just see the hurt in her eyes.
Those denials are more than just lies, right? It's almost gaslighting, making her question her own perception of what's going on.
It's true. It's not just a silly prank anymore.
No, it's something much more serious.
It's getting into emotionally abusive territory.
Right. And her reaction is completely understandable. I mean, jealousy is a powerful emotion,
It really is.
and it often stems from deeper insecurities within a relationship. And in this case, Kristen's jealousy is triggered by Reef's deliberate actions.
Right. He's literally doing this to her.
He's creating this whole scenario that forces her to confront these fears, you know, of infidelity and betrayal.
So at this point, she's visibly upset, and she's trying to get him to stop.
Yeah,
But he just keeps pushing it.
he does.
What do you think is going through her mind at this point?
Oh, I mean, it's probably a mix of confusion, definitely hurt, probably anger.
Yeah.
You know, she's probably questioning why he would intentionally put her in this position.
Oh.
Especially when you think about it, they've built their whole relationship, their brand, on trust and intimacy.
Right, and she even calls him out. She's like, you're making a fool out of me.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to girls on the game like that?
Nope.
She's trying to communicate how hurt she is.
Yes, but he's not listening.
He's just not getting it.
It's like he's so focused on the joke and the potential for views
Right.
that he's completely missing the emotional impact this is having on Kristen.
He's treating her like a prop.
Yeah.
In his big, elaborate scheme.
For internet fame.
Right. It's no wonder she's getting more and more upset.
Of course. And it's important to remember, this is all playing out in a very public space.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not only disrespecting her in private, he's doing it in front of their entire online audience.
That's true. That adds a whole other layer to this.
Right. The humiliation, the betrayal.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So we've got Reef doubling down on this prank.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen's emotions are clearly escalating.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing is playing out for the world to see.
Right. Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
Well, this is where things take a really interesting turn.
Okay.
To understand Kristen's reaction and why it's so significant, we need to dive into the psychology of all this, the betrayal and the power dynamics of online relationships.
Okay, I am hooked. Let's do it. Okay, so we left off with Kristen clearly shaken and questioning their entire relationship.
Yeah, she's distraught.
But Reef is just so caught up in his performance that he's not seeing how much pain she's in.
Totally. It's almost as if he's viewing their entire relationship through this lens of YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
The lines between genuine emotion and content, they've become so blurred.
Completely.
It's a dangerous game they're playing.
And you know what really gets me? You pointed this out in your notes.
Mm-hmm.
There's this moment, and it just hit me so hard, where she says, I thought we were more than this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this sudden realization that what they have might not be what she thought it was.
It is. It's a heartbreaking moment of vulnerability,
Yeah.
you know? It
Yeah.
exposes this fear that their connection, the love they have for each other, is less important than views and likes.
Yeah. And how does Reef respond to this, to her just pouring her heart out? He makes a joke about marrying Chelsea.
I know. Can you believe that?
It's unbelievable.
It's a prime example of how humor can be so damaging when it's used like that.
Absolutely.
He's minimizing her pain and dismissing her concerns, all while trying to keep up this facade of a hilarious prank.
It's like he doesn't even know how to deal with real emotions, so he just deflects with a joke.
Right, but in this instance, it really backfires on him.
Oh, big time.
I mean, that inability to just acknowledge her feelings,
Yeah.
that's a red flag.
It is.
It suggests a lack of emotional maturity and empathy, which are absolutely essential for a healthy relationship.
Totally. And to her credit, Kristen doesn't let him get away with it.
No, she doesn't.
She calls him out on how disrespectful it is to be flirting with another girl, even if it's a joke right in front of her.
She's demanding accountability.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she's refusing to be treated like a pawn in his game.
Right. And that's when she drops the bomb.
Oh.
She takes back her I love you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that moment, it was chilling.
Yeah.
It's so powerful, such a declaration of self-respect.
Right.
She's drawing a line in the sand and saying, I deserve better than this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about a contrast to Reef's behavior at this point.
Oh, yeah. He's still trying to play it off as a joke.
Yeah.
Even though she is clearly hurting.
Right.
He keeps saying, babe, it's just a prank, but it just rings so hollow.
At this point, the trust is broken. He's betrayed her confidence, and no amount of backtracking can erase that.
And so she walks out, and he's just left there alone, still recording.
Yeah.
And you can just see it dawning on him that he really messed up.
It's a moment of reckoning.
Yeah.
He's forced to confront the consequences of his choices, and his face says it all.
He calls after her, but she's not having it.
No.
She comes back into the room, but just to deliver this final blow,
What's she say?
she asks him point blank, why are you calling her babe?
Oh, man.
She's not letting him off the hook.
She's not. She's demanding an explanation, and she wants the truth.
And what does he do?
Well, let me guess.
Denies it.
Oh,
Of course,
tries to take.
tries to claim that he called his friend bro, not babe.
Really?
I know, it's pathetic.
He's digging himself deeper into this hole.
Totally.
The more he denies, the more obvious the deception becomes.
And Kristen's not buying it.
Good for her.
She points out that he was so bold to say those things to Chelsea right in front of her. It's just twisting the knife, you know?
Talk about adding insult to injury.
I know. And then, remember this, She demands to see the Chelsea map in the game.
Oh, I love that.
Because she knows he's lying.
She does.
She's determined to expose him.
It's such a power move.
It is.
Taking control of the situation.
Yeah.
Making him face the consequence.
And of course, there's no Chelsea map.
Right.
The whole thing was a lie.
Plus it.
And he is caught red-handed.
So what happens?
Well, his reaction is so telling, He finally breaks down, admits it was all a prank.
But the damage is done.
Oh, absolutely. The trust is shattered. And the video ends with her just walking away, leaving him alone to face the camera.
Wow.
Such a powerful ending.
It is. It's a total cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like, what happens next?
Right.
We're left to grapple with this uncomfortable truth. There's no resolution, no happy ending.
It really makes you think about what the long-term impact of this is going to be on their relationship.
Right. And it's a reminder that actions have consequences.
Especially when those actions are amplified by the power of social media.
It brings up so many questions, about the ethics of creating content online, that the boundaries between what's public and what's private, and how far some people will go just for views.
Absolutely. It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
I want to circle back to Kristen's reaction for a minute.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier it was really significant, and I'd love to hear more about why.
Well, what's so striking is that she embodies this concept called emotional labor.
Emotional labor, okay.
It's often an invisible and undervalued form of work, but it's so essential for maintaining a healthy relationship.
So in this context, what do you mean by emotional labor?
So in this case, it's the effort that Kristen is putting into managing her own emotions, right?
Yeah.
And navigating the emotional landscape of the relationship.
Okay.
She's the one confronting the issue, trying to communicate her pain, holding Reefe accountable.
It's true, and Reefe is doing the opposite.
He is. He's avoiding confrontation, dismissing her feelings, deflecting with humor.
And basically just leaving her to deal with all of it.
Exactly. He's shirking his emotional responsibilities and leaving Kristen to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and I imagine that's got to be exhausting.
It is incredibly draining for the person who's constantly taking on that burden.
So she's doing all the work to keep their relationship afloat, and he's just along for the ride.
That's a great way to put it.
And I'm guessing this isn't unique to just them.
Oh, no. This dynamic plays out in so many relationships, both online and offline.
So what can we learn from all of this? What's the takeaway for our listeners, watching this unfold?
I think Kristen's response is such a powerful example of how to advocate for your own emotional needs. She refuses to be silenced, to be dismissed.
Yeah.
She speaks her truth, even when it's hard.
It's true. It's a good reminder that we all deserve to be in relationships where our feelings are valued.
Absolutely.
And respected.
100%. And if you're finding yourself in a situation where your partner is constantly avoiding emotional responsibility, it's so important to have that open and honest conversation about your needs.
And if those needs aren't being met?
It might be time to walk away.
Yeah, that's a tough lesson.
It is, but it's an important one.
Yeah, so this prank video, it started out as this seemingly lighthearted bit of entertainment, but it's really a story about so much more than that.
Right.
Emotional labor, power dynamics, and the importance of advocating for yourself.
Exactly.
Wow, what a journey.
We went deep.
And we haven't even touched on the broader implications of all of this for social media and online relationships.
Well, we're just getting started.
Okay, I am ready for more. Let's dive in. Okay, so we've unpacked this whole emotional roller coaster of a prank video.
Yeah.
And we even talked about this idea of emotional labor. But what I think is really fascinating is how this one video speaks to a much larger conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
About relationships,
Yeah.
authenticity, and this pressure to perform for an online audience.
It really does. This is what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Right.
It's not just about one couple's drama. It's a reflection of this cultural shift we're seeing because of social media.
Exactly. I mean, think about all the couples out there who are sharing their lives online. Are they really being their genuine selves?
It makes you wonder.
Right. Or are they, to some extent, playing characters, creating this content designed to get clicks and likes?
Yeah, it's a great question, right?
Yeah.
When your relationship becomes your brand, where do you draw the line between what's authentic and what's performance?
That's a good question. And this video, while extreme, definitely highlights the potential downsides of blurring those lines.
It does.
I mean, Reefe was so focused on creating this banger prank that he completely lost sight of how it was impacting Kristen and their relationship.
He did. It's a cautionary tale about prioritizing online validation over genuine connection and intimacy.
And it also makes you think about the ethics of all of this.
It does.
You know, pranking your partner for an online audience, where's that line between playful teasing and emotional manipulation?
Right. That's a really complex issue.
Yeah.
No easy answers. But I think it's important for all of us to think about, as we're consuming this type of content, are we complicit in this culture where people feel pressured to exploit their personal lives just for views?
It makes me think about all the videos I've watched.
Yeah.
Where couples are putting each other through these crazy pranks and challenges.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, are they actually having fun?
Yeah.
Or are they just performing for the camera?
Well, and how can we know for sure? It's impossible.
Right.
But I think the key is to be critical of the content that we're taking in.
Okay.
Look for those subtle cues.
Yeah.
You know, the body language, the tone of voice.
Yeah.
Are there signs of genuine laughter, real joy, or does it just feel forced and uncomfortable?
That's great advice. I'm going to be much more mindful now when I watch these types of videos.
Good.
And maybe even be more mindful of what I'm putting out there about my own relationships online.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway here.
Yeah.
Social media is an amazing tool for connection and creativity,
It is.
but we have to use it consciously and responsibly.
Especially when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely.
So how do we navigate all of this? What advice do you have for our listeners based on everything we've talked about?
Okay, so first and foremost, prioritize authenticity.
Okay.
Be true to yourself and your values, both online and offline. Don't let this pressure to perform dictate your behavior or compromise your integrity.
That's such a good reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others on social media.
It is.
But really what matters most is staying true to who you are.
Totally. And secondly, be mindful of boundaries.
Okay.
What are you comfortable sharing online? What do you want to keep private?
Yeah.
And remember, you have the right to set those boundaries. And it's okay to say no to requests that make you feel uncomfortable.
And especially in relationships, right?
Yeah.
Open communication is key.
It is. Talk about what you're both comfortable with putting out there in the world.
Absolutely. And finally, remember, we have the power to choose what we consume.
Right. We do.
So be critical.
Yeah.
Is this content promoting healthy relationships, positive values?
Yeah.
Or is it just exploiting people's emotions for entertainment? These are such great points. This deep dive has been so insightful.
Yes.
We've gone from analyzing a prank video to talking about relationships, authenticity, the power of social media.
It's amazing what one video can spark, isn't it?
It really is. That's what makes the deep dive so fascinating. You never know where these conversations are going to take us.
That's the beauty of it all, right? We're always evolving, constantly expanding how we understand ourselves and the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
In this age of curated online personas, what does it mean to be truly authentic? How can we use social media to connect with others in a way that's genuine?
Yeah.
It's something to think about as you navigate this ever-changing world of online relationships and self-expression.
Totally.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time,